let me ask you, Mr. Clooney, how much of a total time commitment did these actors have to commit to do this project? And was that a problem or a challenge in assembling a cast of this caliber?
Well, no, luckily they were, it's about 5 weeks, isn't it?
We're all out of work.
We're all just trying to get a job, let's face it. That's why we're here. No, was it 5 weeks?
Yes, I broke one. Nobody's working.
About 6 weeks of commitment, and yeah, it meant people were actually able to be here. You know, they've all been here from the beginning. It's an interesting rehearsal process.
We have time for like one or two.
Doing something live has a way of concentrating the mind wonderfully, as far as being available for rehearsal is concerned.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'll probably be there.
Yeah.
Mr. Dreyfuss, Henry Fonda's characterization of the president was pretty cold for Henry Fonda, I thought, and I wondered if yours is going to be different from that.
I don't think of his performance as cold. As a matter of fact, I distinctly remember after about 6 or 7 lines coming out of his mouth that I wanted to vote for him for president. He seemed incredibly capable and thoughtful and efficient and right. And so no, I don't think of it like that. You know, in a funny way, I think the work between now and Sunday night is critical. Even though we've been on it for a month, we've been on it in such a sporadic and broken up way that we haven't really played this through yet. And we're about to start doing that. And a lot of this characterization, for me at least, is going to come clear in the next few days. How thoughtful, how emotional, how reactive, how sensible, you know, those are things that are going to be designed in the next few days. I would like to say that the most interesting thing about this show for me is that when you were talking about the kids, my kids don't get the Cold War. They don't get it in the sense that they don't get how nuts we were. And the Cold War is about how crazy we became and lived within for so long. And this piece is an example of that madness. Its greatness is because it's about how far we took our world and how close we came to destroying it. No matter what happens in the 21st century, and terrible things will happen, and terrible nuclear things will happen, taking the crust of the earth off 7 times over is not an option. And it was an option for 40 years. And that's what we lived within, and we made all of our decisions based on it. And I think the most exciting thing about this show is that my kids will get the vision of what that craziness and terror was.
Do we have time for one more question?
For Mr. Lloyd, there's been all this talk about live TV. What is your take on it? How has your experience here been versus 40 years ago?
It seemed to me pretty much the same as it was 40 years ago. I don't recognize any difference in it, although you've touched upon something which has proved to be of great interest to me as we do it. It's Stephen Frears as director, because he comes to us from film and from one-camera film. And I believe, if I'm correct, Stephen, this is the first time you've done multiple camera live.
Well, on this scale.
On this scale.
Oh.
And I've been, it's been fascinating for me to watch how he's approached this problem. Because one sees the whole visual seduction that might be there, and then has the mechanical problems which get in its way. He has approached the work from the point of view of the text and the actors in the most creative way. And it's been like working in the theater with the director in the theater. Because in films you don't have this much rehearsal, and you don't have a director who'll work with you that much on scenes. But we have that, as if we're rehearsing in the theater with a film director who has his own problems and trying to visualize it. And that has been a fascinating problem.
Something else that we haven't talked about is John here. John has had to come in with only a couple of weeks rehearsal and has stepped up and has So if there's going to be any panic factor, it might be from John here. He's come in with only a couple of weeks rehearsal and just been
That's good for
knocked
my
out of the
character,
park.
though.
It is.
Really good for my character.
Fits right in with panic. So.
What Richard was very true. It's really the work between now and Sunday that matters. If we use these 5 days well, we've got a good chance. If we use them badly, no, I'm being absolutely serious.
It's 4 days.
We better get to work.
Oh, shit.
On that note, I think we've got to wrap this.
We're changing the date to April 10th.
That's a dateline.
Wait.
You're on England. We've got Wednesday,
Yes.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, we're going to rehearse on Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. I got plans.
Saturday night you're going to say, we should rehearse.
Oh, yeah, I know. Believe me.
I'd like to ask the press a question.
Watch The Sopranos season.
And that is, when has anything like this ever been done before? I don't think anything remotely like it has been done before. And when have you been able, has he been able, to bring all of these big star, fabulous named people together for this concentrated time of extended work? How do you do that? You know, it's amazing to me, and it's quite different, I have to say, from the original production of the film, which was under much more hazardous and difficult circumstances, and with a much more tenuous and tentative and reserved reception for a long, long time. And what about this world of enthusiasm that now, 35 years later, is in this amazing performance? I think it's up there.